Hey guys, what's going on? Been a while since I've done one of these. um, I'm sorry if anyone was anxiously awaiting my next upload, but I've been busy. I was out of town for about a month and took some time to kind of get caught back up with everything once I got back home. and then my air conditioning broke, so it was like ungodly hot in my room, and I couldn't film anything for a while because would have been. I have to have the windows open and it's super light outside. So, finally back. Finally got some stuff to talk about, And anyways, let's get into it. These are Box Ink Blacks. As you can see right here. These are stock. I just got them. Actually, I got them on Prime Day from Amazon Prime. So that was like, I don't know, maybe close to a month ago. They're good. They're good switches. Just pretty much a standard linear. They're very smooth right out the box. If you don't want to have to lube them, you honestly don't have to. We've reached a point, I think I've already talked about this in the past, but we've reached a point where most switches are basically completely usable stock. Only a select few will actually care enough to take the time to lube them, take them apart, lube them by hand and everything. A lot of them come pre-lubed, like, for linears, like there aren't any, I don't think, scratchy linears are being made anymore. Like it was pretty much cherries that were scratchy, and that's just because with the sheer volume of switches that Cherry produces, their molds are not perfectly, the molds have enough wear on them pretty much at any given time that they don't produce perfectly smooth and flat surfaces anymore. And that's just like that just like wasn't something that Cherry really cared to address or fix until the mechanical keyboard hobby kind of took off. And people were saying, like, why are these so scratchy? But now the Hyperglides or the retools, I forget if Hyperglides and retools are actually the same thing or not. I don't think they are, but either way, the Hyperglides / retools are much smoother. But I would still say that they have Cherry switches just kind of always have this sort of powdery feeling to them, even if it's not scratchy. The new blacks. The new Cherry MX Blacks are it's kind of like when you just like rub your fingers together. Like you get that kind of, it's not perfectly glassy smooth, like this or anything, but kind of something akin to that. Like this is not scratchy by any means, but there is some texture to it. I don't know why I'm talking about this, but anyways, these switches don't have that. Pretty much all linears are going to be smooth out the box. Lubing is, you'll get a little bit extra smoothness by lubing, but lubing is just really more just kind of as a rite of passage at this point. Tactile switches in particular, like when I lubed my boba switches, those are like, you lube pretty much purely for sound in those cases, for tactiles, because tactiles, like, you're not really going to feel any noticeable difference in smoothness on your finger. It's just like a better sound. It tightens up the sound, deepens it if you use thick lube. It's nice. And if you're using your keyboard, 8 hours a day, 4, 5, 6 hours a day, it makes a difference to have that little extra 5-10% gain. But so these, very good, very serviceable linears. I probably will lube these one day, but as you can see, I also got some Cerakeys extras. I completely forgot that I ordered these along with my normal Cerakeys, and it took them a while, like probably 6 months, maybe even a year, past when I got the black keys to when I got these blue extras. And they're cool. The fitting is a little better, but still not perfect. As you can see, the space bar has issues. Someone left a comment on one of my previous videos on Cerakeys saying that, like, you could put saran wrap or plastic wrap in the stem or like in the hole or something to kind of fill in the void. And that can help. I did it on the spacebar, and as you can see, it doesn't really work. I did it on a couple, like I think I did it on this key, and let's see. Yeah, I don't know if you can see that. You can kind of just barely, that little like, there's like a thing there. Yeah, the plastic wrap is like kind of inside the stem hole, but these holes are so are so gaping and loose that even with, you know, a plastic wrap added, it's still not totally fitting in. The ultimate test is the upside down if you can turn the keyboard upside down without keys falling out, then your keycaps are functioning on a basic level. I'm really kicking myself for not having just returned this set. I really should have just returned it to Cerakeys. I may email them anyways and just see like, hey, could I still return these? Because like, I don't know, the thought of using clicky switches right now, like they work all right if I use clicky switches. Like the box clicky switches that I have box jades, box glazed greens, and cream clickies. They fit pretty well on those, but just for whatever reason, the black inks, maybe it's because the black inks are made out of extra smooth material, so there's less friction, but they're just not sticking onto these. This spacebar is better than the original spacebar that I got, the black spacebar. However, the sound's not great. And then I usually, when I'm typing, I usually hit it right around here, so that isn't an issue, but it's just not a very good sound because it's not really like hitting in the right way. And the shift key is also bad. Sometimes I'll hit the shift key here and it won't actually register because it's like yeah, I don't know. I think I might try like double plastic wrapping the keys that are problematic on this, but if that doesn't work, then I think I will just go ahead and contact Cerakeys again and see if they'll let me return these, because they kind of serve no purpose when they're like this. But I have a goal to not let this video go over 30 minutes or whatever, you know. I mean, there's not a whole lot to talk about. It's just, they're just linear switches, and these are just bonus keycaps with just a fancy color. It is an interesting color, you know, and I got, they gave me some Mac keys as well, because I do use a Mac. So here you are, the option key. That's Alt in for Windows. Let's take a closer look at the color. It's cool. I would not want a full set like this. That would be too gaudy. All these like brightly colored keycap sets, they look impressive on the websites, but like, are you really gonna use that every day? Like, if you have to take your keyboard to work, are you really gonna just sit there with this bright purple, bright blue keyboard that's like glowing? Whatever. Are you really that, like, is your personality such that you could really pull that off without it being kind of weird? For me, no. So I like to stick with black or beige keys and keyboards. But so I mean, in terms of comparing these to regular black inks, which I don't have out, they're put away at the moment, but mine are lubed, obviously, my regular black inks, but the feeling, these do have a slightly shortened travel. Some people complain about shortened travel, like Andy Nguyen really doesn't like shortened travel switches. I don't really notice that much of a difference. He says that like it fucks up his typing because he's used to pressing the key all the way down, and I'm like, oh, man, I don't know, that sounds that kind of sounds like bullshit. But I think he's also like kind of since come off of that viewpoint. I think he's done some reviews of long pole switches recently, and he's using them and he likes them. These are not exactly what I would say call long pole, because they're box switches, so they don't use poles the way that regular switches do. But the long pole, it is generally attributed to giving a like kind of just like a more high pitch impact, because you're hitting it, you're bottoming out like faster than you normally would, but you might still be using the same amount of force to bottom out that full 4 millimeter travel, versus these are like 3.5 or 3.4, maybe 3.6. And I mean, I guess, yeah, it does actually, you do kind of notice that you're not pressing the key down as far, but it doesn't really make a difference to me. I have noticed that the more I use my other black inks, I feel like the springs, I don't know if I'm wearing out the springs, but the springs feel just a little bit too, like there's not enough force at the very beginning. Like there's, on the regular black inks, the first like maybe third of, or maybe 20 to 30% of the key travel just feels a little bit loose and sloppy. These do not have that. These are pretty tight pretty much all the way, and there's very little wobble, very little play. As since box switches have more support under the stem, having the box, it's kind of hard to see, but having the box gives more support around the stem, so that there's less possibility for it to move, whereas the normal plus shaped non-box stems, they're just, the keycap is just floating free, not floating freely, but there's no contact around the post. It's just going inside that little plus hole, and that's it. So there will be a lot more wobble, but this kind of wobble, like, it's not the, wobble only becomes bad when it's really noticeable and it has like a defined side to side feeling. Like the biggest difference between, like, a specific example, Gateron Yellows versus Duroc Linears, Gateron Yellows had a lot more side-to-side play, and you'd actually feel the key colliding with the sides of itself as you pressed it down, and that had the result of, if you do like Gateron Yellows side-to-side with Duroc Linears, they feel almost tactile in comparison, because you're feeling that collision of the wobble. Whereas this, you don't really get that. The regular black inks, you don't really get that. It's just a purely smooth up and down, and it's good. These are good switches. If you like linears, box switches, they're like they kind of have this legendary reputation as being among the best linears. For a time, they were probably considered the best linears. Now, there's so many fucking switches. It's pretty much impossible. I would say it's impossible to say which one is the best without having used them all. And I would be willing to essentially say that it's not possible to use every single switch that exists. Like, there are just too many to have a full set of everyone. And I'm not talking about just having one and you go like that. Like, you need to have a full set, and you need to actually type on them for a week or something to really get a feel. And the sad fact about linears is that they're all basically the same. All the JWK recolors, TTC recolors, I don't even know what the new like factories are, but they're all just recolors, and they're all essentially just different versions of the same product being sold by different vendors. That's why I haven't really gone for any of the new age switches, because they're all just the same thing, and I'd rather just use one of the ones that has a reputation for being good, rather than this one that's supposed to be good because it's just like another one that's good. And I don't know, does that make me a reverse hipster? I only use things that are known to be good. Like, I use things after they're cool. Who knows? But if you really, like really slow down the key presses, you can feel a little bit of friction, especially if you hit the side. Certain switches will be a little bit smoother than others. That's kind of to be expected a lot of times. Like in, as far as this set, like actually these all feel about the same. This one is feels a little bit smoother than the last ones that I press. That could just be due to the angle that my finger's touching it, you know, like who knows. But when you're typing at speed, like Teja did a video on, or he kind of touched upon this in a stream at one point. When you're typing at speed, especially if you type 100 words a minute plus, like you're not going to notice a tiny fractional difference in smoothness. You just can't. You don't have the time to perceive that, you know. And does that mean that it doesn't matter? No, but it means that it doesn't matter nearly as much as people act like it does. Even if you're using scratchy linears, like it's probably going to be fine. Like you're not going to die just from having to type on that, you know. But still, overall, very good. And box ink switches are widespread enough that you can get them a wide variety of places. You know, if you live in different countries, there's probably a vendor in your country that, well, in your continent at least, that can ship it to you, you know, for much less. Like rather than having to get it shipped from China to the U.S., you might be able to get it from the U.S. or get it on Amazon. I got it on Amazon. If you're in Europe, there's probably a vendor in Europe that has box ink switches. So they're very accessible, and they're good. You know, they deserve their reputation. And you know, are they better than original black inks? I think it's been said that if you don't plan to lube or mod your switches, then get the box ones. But if you do want to lube and film your switches, then get the original inks. And I would say that's about true. The original inks were a little, just a tad rough around the edges. Like they needed that extra little bit of finesse to kind of push them into that like really good territory. Whereas these, I would say, are good. Like these are they're really good. Maybe not great necessarily. You know, the regular inks are probably like a 6 or 7 out of 10 stock, but then you mod them, they come out to like an 8 or 9 out of 10. These are probably like a 7 or 8 out of 10 stock, and you lube them, they'll probably come again up to that 8 or 9 out of 10. So, just kind of depends on what you're looking for. Really, the main reason I got these is because I got these keycaps, these new blue keycaps, and I wanted to use them on this keyboard. So I wanted to use them, and I didn't want to use clicky switches anymore. I was kind of tired of hearing that. So I got these, and it was Prime Day, so I got them, and worked out pretty nicely. You know, Cerakeys, I think they've since fixed the fitment issues. Like that's not a difficult thing to fix, you know. But just the fact that they shipped at all with that issue is a little bit. It's a little insulting as a consumer. Like the one thing that these things are supposed to do, which is fit on switches, they fail at doing. And I stupidly told them, no, it's fine. I won't return them. I'll just keep them. That's just on me. So I don't know. I'm gonna probably reach out to them again in the near future. If I do like a thorough double plastic wrap mod to all the keys that are giving me issues, and they still won't fit, oh then you know these things are going. I mean, I've considered using glue, but that's gonna like permanently affix the shit together. So I don't know if that's a good idea. Glue would definitely work, but I don't know if that's fully necessary. But okay, I think that's about it. Not really much else to talk about. We're coming up on 20 minutes here. But, so I will do a sound test in a minute. Yeah, switches, these are good switches. Would recommend. Linear switches, you know, there's not a whole lot to talk about. Just the weight and the smoothness, which are both good. They're sufficiently smooth, and the weight is fine for me. I don't have mispresses. I don't perceive this as too heavy or too light. It could be heavier, and I wouldn't mind, but doesn't need to be. But all right, let's load up a monkey type. Do a couple sound tests. As you could hear, since they're stock, not super deep. The Q1 is not a particularly deep board. Aluminum boards, just naturally, aluminum is not a very deep resonating material. It doesn't resonate with very deep frequencies by default. Aluminum boards that thock always have to have a bunch of, you know, engineering put into them, sound engineering to put into them, the acoustics to make them thock. And, you know, foam helps, but foam's kind of like a band-aid fix. The internals need to be built out in a certain way. They need to have like certain rubber components on the inside to prevent you know, pinging and whatnot. It's just aluminum. It's a metal, and metal clanks. Metal clanks. It doesn't thud. It clanks. But we as a community don't like clank as much. Okay. Let's do I'll do one 60-second monkey type keyboard view, and then I'll do one with actual monkey type view, so you can see what I'm typing. And then I do have some dailies to turn in as well. Several weeks worth. But okay. Wait. Mouse click. There we go. All right, not bad. That was 121 with a 127 raw. Okay, now let's do one like this. Mouse click again. Okay. Ooh, that was starting to hurt my wrist, actually. I have to like kind of sit in a weird position to see around the tripod. I feel like I complain about the tripod constantly. Okay, let's get these Okay, so how many? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 to turn in. Well, if there were 1,000 each, that'd be 12,000, but some of these are probably worth more than 1,000. Let's go with 20,000. Ooh, 21,393. I am now monkey level 168. You know, I typed on Monkey Type for probably like over a year before I made my actual account, which saves your progress. And the only thing that kind of sucks about that is that year that was when I was bad at typing, was for that year, and it wasn't until I started getting good that I thought, oh, maybe I should start saving these results. But if I had done my full, typing journey, you would be able to see my progression over time as I started at 50, 75 words a minute up to 100, 120. But I also, in reality, I actually started on 10 fast fingers, which is not as nice as Monkey Type. It's a little bit, just the UI is not as good. All right, that's pretty much it for today's video. We are coming up on 30 minutes. Wow. Box inks, solid switches. They completely deserve their reputation as being, some of the go-to linear switches. And Cerakeys, they're cool, they're shiny, they're fancy, but at least my set, and I'm not the only one who has this issue. That's not great. But some other announcements. I got an email from Makibo last week saying that GMK TeraDrive is currently being shipped to them, and once it arrives to them, they will start shipping out the orders. I selected pickup for mine because I live very close to Makibo, or at least looking at their edges, it looks like they might have moved, but they're still even if they did move, they're still pretty close to where the address that I thought I saw was in Anaheim, which is close to Westminster, where I live and where their old HQ used to be. So I'll still be able to pick them up. I'll be able to get them, a couple days to a week faster than everyone else who has to wait for them to ship. So that'll be nice. May do an unboxing for those. I'll definitely do some sort of review because that'll be my first GMK set. First one I've ever even touched, even seen in person. I've never actually interacted with a GMK set in person. So I am interested in testing the kind of whole shine aspect, see how long it takes for the keys to start shining, and if that bothers me. So expect, there is some stuff coming up in the future. There's that. RamaWorks will be here one day. Probably not till like next year, I'm guessing, honestly. But there's been some drama in the keyboard world. The Mex & Co. Debacle, which, if you guys follow Teja, or if you guys are just following the community still, which honestly, are you? Are you still following the mechanical keyboard community? I'm not really, but I saw Teja's new video. He's done 2 videos. One was just like this month in mechanical keyboards. Notable things that happened, and the most notable thing that happened last month was Mex & Co., a vendor, just totally dropping the ball. Essentially, just like, I don't know if it's embezzlement. Embezzlement is when you steal money from your own company. These people, I guess they embezzled the funds, the group buy money that they received. They received a bunch of money from customers for group buys, and they're supposed to turn around and use that to pay GMK, to pay the keyboard manufacturers to build their stuff, but they just didn't. So now there's a whole bunch of group buys that are just like haven't been paid for by the vendor to the maker, and so they're not even being made. So all these people, there are people who are out like $100, like $500+ with basically no recourse, because it's been so long that you can't do chargebacks anymore on your credit cards, and and of course the Mexico policy, all sales are final, I'm sure. But Tejan actually put out like an hour-long sort of podcast style video where he talked to this guy who's like a prominent moderator on some of the mechanical keyboard subreddits. And it just kind of explained the whole thing. It was actually a pretty interesting listen. I was listening to it while I was like grocery shopping, and it was actually kind of interesting. It's a lot of stuff that you probably know. It's just like the way the group buy model works and everything, and the problems that arise with the group buy model. Why mechanical keyboards, are so reliant upon the group buy model still. But it was all just kind of to say that, like, how did something like this happen? Like, well, because this isn't like a standardized industry. There's no like governing body that anyone can go to. Like, there were people who saw the writing on the wall and said Mexico is an unsustainable model. I'm pretty sure they're embezzling funds or committing fraud, whatever. But you can't. There's nowhere to really do that. Is the biggest problem. Other vendors can't do it because it just looks like they're slandering their competition. And the MK community is so close knit. Like, all these vendors and designers, like they're all like friends with the people who are paying paying the money and receiving the money are like friends, and you don't want to rat on your friends. That is just there was just a bunch of red tape and a bunch of just like, it would be weird to say something about it. And it just got to the point where now a bunch of people are out a bunch of fucking money, and there's really nothing that can be done. Some other vendors are trying to step in and fill the holes. Some of the group buys they're going to try to still complete some of the group buys where possible, but I think a lot of people are just SOL, and that's bad. that's bad. But the group buy model is not going anywhere anytime soon, unfortunately. And it just kind of is what it is. And as such, I joined another group buy. The Cycle 7. Andy Wynn put out a video like, dude, this keyboard's so fucking cheap, dude. It's like $139 base for the keyboard. And it's supposed to ship in Q4 of this year, so like later this year. So I was like, you know what? So my keyboards are kind of getting old and busted. This one's okay, but my the NK65 is starting to show its age. It's kind of falling apart because the screws because there were no inserts, there were no threaded inserts, and the screws keep stripping, or rather the screw holes keep stripping. So one day the NK65 is just going to straight up fall apart probably, and I will have a backup keyboard hopefully ready to go when that happens. The Cycle 7, it's an FRL TKL, so it's a TKL. It's got the part here, but it has no F-row. That's not like necessarily why I got it, but it looked kind of cool. I got a beige one so it'll match these keys, which are some of my favorites. So I think that'll be kind of fun and cool, and it will likely arrive before my Rama. But that'll hopefully the thing that just happened with Mexico that I just got done talking about. Hopefully that doesn't happen with this new group buy that I just joined. But if it does, the total that I spent was about a little less than $200. I think like $195 for shipping and other fees. But it is actually pretty inexpensive. The amount of money I spent on that is about the amount of money that I spent on this. So as long as it actually ships and I actually receive it at some point in my life, I'll be happy. But okay, I think that's enough rambling for now. Almost at 35 minutes. Thanks for watching, guys. I guess one thing I am curious, are you guys still active in the mechanical keyboard hobby community? I'm sure you guys still use your keyboards, but do you still actively browse keyboard subreddits? Do you still watch keyboard YouTubers? Do you still, do you still frequently take your keyboard apart or take your keycaps off, take your switches out, put new ones in, just, for the sake of variety? Me personally, I don't. I've been kind of wanting to swap this configuration up, but all my switches are put away. I gotta find them. I gotta make a space for them. It's just too much work, man. But I will do it, eventually. I know I said I was gonna make those Jailhouse Blues, but I don't think that's gonna happen, at least not for a while. So apologies for anyone who was hoping to see that, but I will have new videos coming up in the near future, in the relatively near future. You could probably expect a couple more videos before the end of the year. I have the Cycle 7 coming. I have GMK Tear Drive coming. Don't have any new switches coming. I honestly don't think I'm going to buy any more switches. I think these are probably the last ones that I'm going to buy, because I have so many and not enough keyboards to use them in. And for a while I was thinking maybe I should just buy enough keyboards to use all my switches, but no, that would be too many keyboards. But videos on those coming up. I'll probably do a new Model F review relatively soon as well. I don't think I'm gonna bother waiting for 50 subs. Just by the time that happens, the Beam Spring keyboard, the new Beam Spring might be out, and no one's gonna care about the new Model F anymore. And I don't think I'm gonna buy the new Beam Spring keyboard because it's like $500 or $600. And there comes a time when you just have to draw the line. I think hobbies end when you are no longer willing to spend money on them. And that's kind of what's happening here with keyboards. And it's not that the keyboard hobby is ending for me, because I still use my keyboards and I will continue to use them, but it's kind of going down on the back burner, and there's nothing wrong with that. I enjoyed my time spent with the keyboard hobby and the keyboard community. It's very, very cool. And I will continue to make, videos here and there on topics that come up as I get new stuff in, just to kind of share the journey with you guys, and just to kind of keep a little discussion going, because that's really the fun, is talking about this stuff with people, talking about what you like about it, what you don't like about it, what they like about it, what they don't like about it. And if you disagree, then disagreements are good. That's how you get real discussion going, is when two people have a healthy disagreement. But anyways, I think that is it for today. Thanks for watching, guys. Good to be back, I guess. Yeah, be on the lookout for some new stuff in the near future, and hope you guys have a good weekend. Hope you guys, lube your switches, type on your keyboards this weekend, get a monkey type PR, all that good stuff. All right, guys, thanks again, and I will see you next time.